Hi there. Today I want to talk about my guides. We put together a guide for each book. I put together a guide for each book that we are going to read. So when I do my pre-reading, I put together a guide of some sort. Now this one looks especially thick because there is a pictures in the back that were part of a PDF from the CMEC. And so I like to include that. But this one specifically is interesting. This was the Burgess Seashore book. And while the CMEC does not put together specific guides that will walk you through like the captain ideas, discussion questions, and all of that, they sometimes will give you ideas for captain ideas or ideas for kinds of discussion questions, but they don't give you a rote script to read to your children. And part of that is because children are born persons and each of them are individuals. And so that is where it gets a little tricky. However, there is a general like layout to a Mason lesson. And so in my guide, I like to include a scaffold, a captain idea, some information or things that I would like to write down or pictures I might like to have, videos I like to have, and then discussion questions. So for each chapter I write down, okay, so what is the main thing that I wanted them to take away from last time? And so when I say, what do you remember last time when we looked at the garden folks? Can you remember some of them? And they might say, oh, it's like a sea anemone. And yes, the sea anemone. Why is that like a garden? And we can have a conversation about that. And I say, okay, well, today we're going to look at some more garden folks, right? We're going to look at more flowery type animals that are found in the sea. And so then we might talk about baby jellyfish and sea plumes. And I have like a life cycle that I wanted to just bring out and include. So I can say like this, we've talked about like caterpillar life cycles. Well, this is the life cycle of a jellyfish. And this is how that goes. And so I wanted to be able to have access to some of these things. I also, if there's any terms I want to put on my board, like I might write a hydroid on the board, sea cucumber, sea spider. Like these are the animals that we talked about today. What can you tell me? Like when you do your narration, I want you to pay certain attention to those things. And then I want you to tell back and have those words in your narration for me. And so those are some things I like to include in here. And then discussion questions. If I have any natural discussion questions, I want to put them in here. Now, the thing is, my scaffold, my captain idea, is going to generally be loose, right? Because I'm going to let the child tell me what they remember. And if they maybe missed something that I thought was important to include, then I will come in with my notes and be able to say, oh yeah, I really wanted to touch on that thing. And so this allows me to do that without having this, oh, what was it I wanted to talk about again? I also have like my narrations for myself that I had written when I did this, like very short narrations, maybe bullet, like especially for the Burgess, it's more like a bulleted list of different facts about the animals. And so they may, during their narration, give me a fact and I'm like, oh yeah, and there's this really cool fact. And then we are able to discuss that. And so, sorry, my comb binding came out on this. And so I just really enjoy being able to interact with them on the level of when I've done the pre-reading that I come more prepared to a lesson, especially like with videos. My daughter loves to watch like a 1-minute clip on, octopus releasing ink, like things that you generally don't see, but we have videos now that we can see these things. And so it's fun to be able to pull some of that and put that in here too. And then this is a document that I keep online as well, so that I can just go in, open it, and pull out the video as I need it. But this is nice to have in the day-to-day lessons, that when I pull out the book, I pull this out, and then I can see if there's a video. And if there is, then I can go and grab it. So that is what I like to do for my guides, and I have found it to be extremely helpful in the day-to-day and working through these things. So anyways, if you have any questions about guides or how one should be put together, or why I include certain things, or what we exclude, or if you have ideas of cool things to put in the guide, I'd love to hear it. But we do definitely also include in my guide, like I am starting to put in some of, like, the CMEC has their breakdown from the program guides, and it's nice to be able to go back and reference that. And so to include that at the beginning of my guide, if need to reference it, it has been a great help. And so like their geography, they have like a whole section on geography. And so I took that and put that in my geography book, and that has been a great help. And I can also include maps, or which book I want to find my map in when I'm doing the pre-reading, or other reference books we might have. I also put in here field trip ideas that I've found, so that as we go, I can think about, oh, this would be a good place to visit. Where could we maybe fit that in? And so those are some of the things that I like to think through when I'm doing my pre-reading. And then I just put it all in the guide, so that in future years, when my next child is going through the same book, I'm able to pull that out and be like, oh yeah, that would be a great field trip idea again. And she probably doesn't remember it, or he doesn't remember it. And so how can we incorporate that into our year this year? So that's our guides. Like I said, it was a lot of fun to put them together. It's a lot of work to put them together, but I'm doing the pre-reading anyways, and I'm learning so much. I'm able to learn right along with my kids, and then this helps me to guide them in our daily lessons. So, all right, have a good one.